underdevelopment is that in Pakistani society there is a concern regarding the underdevelopment of Pakistan. That Pakistan has not developed, or Muslim communities have not developed as they should have. And there is also always a comparison between Muslim majority countries and the West, meaning which one of these two has the West or the Muslim majority countries have developed enough in terms of technology and modernity and other things. There is always a cross comparison between the two. The blame is often laid at Islam by some, and by some at the clergy, for the lack of development. Even though this claim is flawed, because from the inception of Pakistan, 1947, until today, the country of Pakistan has been governed for the main part by secularist people. Or if you say they are not secularist, you would say neoliberals. At times, they make alliances with the clerics, like the late Zulfiqar Ali Bhutto, General Zia. They make certain alliances with clerical movements, with Islamic movements, but as a whole, they are liberals. And the liberal elite that governed Pakistan from its inception is the same elite that has plundered Pakistan. The same group of people have plundered Pakistan. But there is a discussion regarding underdevelopment. An example of this is a famous book. This book, the name of the book, Islam, Authoritarianism and Underdevelopment, by Ahmed T. Kuru. This is a Turkish author, and this book is famous in some Pakistani bourgeois. He utilizes the word bourgeois, intellectual circles. The book, again, the criticism of the book that I will go on to shortly. But interestingly enough, he has a chart within the book that gives us a list of Muslim countries. So you have here those countries which are Muslim majority countries which are secular. Then you have Muslim majority countries that recognize Islam as the official religion. And then here you have a list of countries which have Sharia law in the constitution of the country. They have Sharia law. These are those countries. So if you notice, the majority of the Muslim countries today have secular law. They do not have Islamic law. The majority, in fact, this list is increased now with Sudan and Bangladesh, and also in the future maybe UAE and Saudi Arabia. So this list is increased. These countries, the ones in the middle, recognize Islam as the majority religion, the official religion, but are not necessarily governed by Islam. These are the only countries that are claimed to be governed by Islam or have Islam in the constitution. So the majority of the Muslim world is in fact governed by secular law. So to blame Islam post-colonial period, to blame Islam for the underdevelopment of the Muslim world is absurd, because the governments, the majority of the governments are secular. And even in the list that has Islamic governance, so-called Islamic governance, you can see the list. You have Bahrain, you have Brunei, Egypt, Iran, Iraq, Kuwait, Libya, Maldives, Mauritania, Oman, Pakistan, Qatar, Saudi Arabia, Somalia, Syria, Sudan. Now Sudan is off that list now. UAE and Yemen. Now even those countries, we know that, for instance, in Pakistan, the majority of the rulers have been neoliberalists or people with liberal ideas, like the Bhutto family and others. So the criticism of this book, the short criticism, his theory for underdevelopment is that when there was an alliance between ulema, clerics and governments, Muslim governments, that would lead to underdevelopment of the Muslim world from the 11th century. The summary of my critique of this book: he claims prior to the 11th century there was no alliance between ulama and governments. The counterclaim is that the most successful period of the Muslim world in terms of development, material development, was during the first 300 years of Islam, when there was the most religiosity, but also there were groups of philosophers and free thinking that occurred in the Muslim world, which is true, and zealot groups. You had heretics, you had all ways of thinking in the first 300 years. But the most successful period, there were alliances between scholars and some of the caliphs. The simple example is that of Harun al-Rashid and al-Imam Abu Yusuf, the codification of law of the Abbasi Caliphate occurred under Abu Yusuf rahimallahu ta'ala. So the claim that the alliance of ulama and governments is what led to the decline of development in the Muslim world is a flawed claim. In fact, in the early 1800s, in the Ottoman Caliphate, the removal of science from the curriculum did not occur by Muslims, those who profess Islam as a way of governance. The removal of science from the curriculum. Under Sultan Muhammad al-Fatih rahimahullah ta'ala, science was taught in the curriculum, in the madaris, in the schools, in Islamic schools. Science was taught alongside Islam. So this clash that is claimed between science, technology and the belief in the metaphysical realm is simply refuted by saying that there is no clash when it comes to scientific research or that which is in the metaphysical realm.